There's now a recognition that we, meaning the junta running the country, make the rules. We pick our president, or we pick our person, and Kamala will know just as well as anyone else that we can do it to her.
Welcome to Philosophy Insights. Here's a man facing 91 criminal charges. These include allegations of election interference related to the 2020 election, handling of classified documents, and various financial offenses. On the legal front, Trump's situation is precarious. If he loses the election, he could face significant legal consequences, including the possibility of imprisonment. Only 10% of these allegations would have completely sidelined any other candidate. But not only does Trump endure, he seems to thrive in the chaos. Here is best-selling author and filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza's prediction whether he wins.
My wife and I have a $100 bet on this.
Yeah,
and the reason we do,
right
my wife's
over there.
sitting laughing
Yeah.
in the background, but the reason we do is because, Debbie's very confident. First of all, she's from Venezuela, so she has, I won't even say mild, she has severe PTSD from what happened there, which is the hijacking of the 2004 election, and basically it's over after that.
I mean, their election just 2 months ago was an absolute farce.
Absolute farce.
Yeah.
But beyond that, she's very disturbed by the fact that the press, even though they are not an arm of the government, they act like they are.
Yeah.
And this is troubling, right? We have thousands of journalists, hundreds of institutions. How is it that somehow they march in lockstep? We understand how that happened in, Stalin's Russia, or even in Goebbels' Germany, because the Ministry of Propaganda said, this is our line, and if you say otherwise, you're going to jail. We don't have that kind of coercion, and yet, so I think Debbie's fear is that the propaganda is so intense that it's just going to fool enough people in the middle that the election could go Kamala's way for that reason.
And that's partly what I mean about the House always winning, that no matter how many of us wake up, I'm not even talking on the cheat side. Let's remove cheating for just a second. That the machine is so powerful, the House is so all-encompassing and can just set the table, basically, that no matter how many of us wake up, no matter how many RFKs wake up tomorrow or anything else, that somehow they still pull off the trick. And then we end up in a situation like Venezuela where 80% of the people are going, what the high hell just happened here?
And so this is the question. Are people who are actually not all that happy about their lives, who, if you ask them the simple question, is the country going in the right direction, are going to say emphatically no. Are those people, can they be easily hoodwinked by a massive propaganda apparatus that is basically saying, don't believe your pocketbook, don't believe your eyes, don't believe this hysterical, cackling Kamala you see. There's another Kamala Harris that we want to show you who's amazing. Yeah. Will that be, and I think, honestly, this election is going to give us the answer to that question.
God, I hope you're right about that. We'll get to Kamala in a sec. I know that's not what the movie's about, but I want to talk about Trump on the personal side, because you talk about him sort of politically, personally, physically, like the whole thing. On the personal side, after seeing everything he's been through these couple of years, the fact that he got out there, say, the day after the last assassination attempt, which is just a crazy statement in and of itself to say the last assassination attempt, the fact that he gets out there the next day and seemingly is exactly the same. What do you make of that? Where do you think that came from within him?
That is a reflection of a man of supreme courage. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. Then you have the 2 assassination attempts, and his reaction to both is downright classic, right? Let's start with the second one. First of all, his reaction is immediate irritation at being interrupted in his golf game. He's like, I'm about to make a particularly amazing shot. And then he posts 0 for 2 on social media. I mean, who does that? He's keeping score on the assassinations. The first assassination we all know about, him pulling himself up. So the thing about Trump is that the question I think we have to ask, and this is sort of my answer to some of the, I won't say never Trumpers because they may be too far gone, but the sort of reluctant Trumpers who say things like, well, I don't like his character, his personality, but I like his policies. And my point to him is, listen, this guy has qualities that are supremely needed in our current crisis. Okay, maybe he was a playboy when he was younger. Nobody claims he's a playboy now. He's obviously a reformed playboy.
Yeah.
Maybe he's egotistical, and he is. He loves public praise.
Yeah.
He's actually not that egotistical in private. And I think his ego protects him in some ways. It's his own personal wall. But courage is extremely rare, and no one has it like Trump does.
Recent discussions in political circles hint at a complex shift within the Democratic Party's approach to leadership. Influential Democrats such as Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are said to have significant sway over major policy directions and public messaging, steering the power away from the president. This gets quite clear when we look at how they installed Kamala Harris over Biden without any official procedure.
I mean, Pelosi and Schumer basically and Obama, from what I understand, got together with Kamala, and it sounds like they forced him with the 25th Amendment. We're going to do this. They would have needed her to say it to him, and they did it. If you basically agree with that premise, but feel free not to, if you basically agree with it, are you amazed that they can do that right in front of our eyes? Or again, is this just the power of the system?
Well, I think that what happens with these guys is that they try something crazy and they see if it works. And so, for example, a good example of that was COVID. They were like, guess what? Jane Fonda, I think, put it when she said, COVID is God's gift to the left. Mm-hmm. And the left was like, okay, you know what? Let's put it to use. And they realized, hey, we're getting away with it.
Right. Meaning this will take out Trump in essence.
This will allow us to change the rules of the election, and this will allow us to get Trump. Yes. So they pulled it off. I think what's going on here is that the left with Biden, they notice that Biden is deteriorating fast. And probably was deteriorating from the moment he sat in the Oval Office, right?
I would argue.
So the left goes, guess what? We're going to try something new. And that is, we're going to try the regime runs the country and the president is the front man. And we're going to see if the American people go nuts, if there's any kind of disturbance or revolt or pushback. And then they realize, actually, this is working. We just send Biden out. He makes a few statements. Every now and then he utters an utterly incomprehensible stutter or makes up a gigantic new word that has never existed. But somehow the press is on our side. We're pulling it off. And then they go, well, let's do it again. Because if it turns out that Biden is now inconvenient, by the same logic that we picked him in the first, remember, there was no real primary for Biden either in 2020. We did it then. So clearly there's now a recognition that we, meaning the junta running the country, make the rules. We pick our president, or we pick our person, and Kamala will know just as well as anyone else that we can do it to her. So that would be, think of it. We never thought this of when John Kerry ran or when Carter. We always thought they're running the country. The people who are around them are picked by them and are acting at their behest. It seems quite clear that did not happen under Biden and is not happening under Kamala.
I mean, to me, that's why I describe her as the ultimate. She's the perfect avatar for what the Democrats want at this point. It's like you're going from someone with dementia who clearly wasn't in charge to now someone who has no set of beliefs, no cohesive set of beliefs that was installed in essence. And it's like, we'll owe an awful lot to the system for that installation.
Did you see that little social media clip where Schumer is having a press conference and Kamala Harris starts she's behind him and she's a senator. She's talking out of turn. And he just raises his finger, sort of like the teacher, I don't want anything out of you. And she rolls her eyes oops. She goes oops, I've been busted. Teacher caught me. So that in that little clip, it encapsulates that she is completely willing to be subservient to the triangle or the octagon of 8 people or however many it is who are actually running the country.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy the content, subscribe and hit the bell.